The autumn sun cast golden rays over the campus of the prestigious Lakeside Preparatory School in Oakland, California. Riley Elizabeth Curry, having just turned 12, waited at the school entrance. Wearing the impeccable uniform of the institution and with her curly hair tied in a high ponytail, she swung her legs on the bench while drawing in her notebook. Occasionally, she glanced at her watch. Her mother, Aisha, was 10 minutes late, probably stuck in traffic after recording another episode of her cooking show. Riley's life had always been in the spotlight as the daughter of Stephen Curry, star of the Golden State Warriors, but her parents strived to keep her grounded. Despite attending one of the most expensive schools in the region, Riley had been taught from an early age about gratitude and compassion. While waiting, her gaze was drawn to a girl sitting alone in the small park adjacent to the school. Unlike the other children playing around, this one remained quiet, focused on a worn notebook. Something about the girl sparked Riley's curiosity. Perhaps it was the contrast between her determined posture and her visibly worn clothes. Tucking her own notebook into her backpack, Riley walked to the park. As she approached, she could better observe the girl. Brown skin, curly hair tied in an improvised bun, wearing a coat too large for her slender body. She appeared to be the same age as Riley, but there was something in her eyes, a premature maturity that intrigued Riley even more. "Hi, what are you drawing?" Riley asked, stopping a few steps away. The girl looked up, surprised and slightly suspicious. She hesitated for a moment before showing the notebook. A detailed drawing of Oakland's urban landscape revealed itself, with impressive technique for someone so young. "Wow, you draw really well," Riley exclaimed genuinely. "My name is Riley. Can I sit with you?" "Jasmine," the girl responded in a low voice. "You can sit if you want." Soon, they were sharing their notebooks. Riley showed her own drawings, colorful and cheerful, but technically inferior. Jasmine explained some shading techniques she had learned on her own, watching videos on computers in public libraries. The conversation flowed naturally until a black SUV approached the school entrance. Riley recognized her mother's car. "It's my mom," she said. "Do you live around here? We could meet again to draw together." Jasmine quickly gathered her materials. "I don't exactly live nearby." "Riley, time to go, dear," Aisha called, waving from the car. Instead of running to the vehicle, Riley signaled for her mother to come closer. After a moment of hesitation, Aisha parked and walked over to the girls. "Mom, this is my new friend Jasmine. She draws amazingly," Riley introduced excitedly. Aisha greeted the girl with a warm smile, but her maternal gaze quickly caught subtle signs. The worn backpack that seemed to contain much more than school supplies, the nervousness when asked where she lived, the vigilant look she kept on her surroundings. "I need to go before it gets dark," Jasmine muttered, looking at the sky that was beginning to tinge orange. "Where do you live?" Riley asked innocently. After a long silence, Jasmine answered in an almost inaudible voice, "We're in a temporary shelter. My mom and I lost our apartment when she got sick and lost her job." The silence that followed was broken by Riley's determined voice. "Come to our house. Today, we can draw more and have dinner together." The car glided smoothly through the streets of Oakland, with Jasmine sitting in the back seat next to Riley, holding her sketchbook firmly against her chest. After a quick call and the surprising permission from her mother, who would work late that night, Jasmine had embarked on this unexpected journey. Aisha observed through the rearview mirror her daughter's new friend. The girl's attentive eyes absorbed every detail of the transition between neighborhoods from common to exclusive. "We're here," announced Aisha as the car approached a discreet but unmistakably sophisticated gate. Jasmine's eyes widened when the gate opened automatically, revealing a property that seemed extracted from one of the movies she occasionally watched in the shelters. The circular entrance, flanked by perfectly manicured gardens, culminated in a spacious house. Not ostentatiously grand, but undeniably luxurious. "Your house is a palace," whispered Jasmine, making Riley laugh. "It's just a house," Riley responded, with the naturalness of someone who had never known any other reality. "Come, I want to show you my room and my art corner." As they entered, Jasmine instinctively removed her worn sneakers, noticing the gleaming wooden floor. In the spacious entrance hall, trophies and photographs told the story of the Curry family. Not just Stephen's sporting achievements, but family moments, charitable works, and the children's milestones. "Hello! You must be Riley's friend," a warm voice sounded from the corridor. Stephen Curry appeared, wearing casual clothes, with a genuine smile on his face. Without the NBA paraphernalia or the Warriors uniform, but still immediately recognizable. Jasmine momentarily froze. She had seen Stephen Curry on TV, on posters, even on a shirt that a sheltermate proudly wore. But the real presence of the basketball star in his home, addressing her directly, seemed surreal. "Yes, I'm Jasmine," she managed to respond. "Pleasure to meet you, Jasmine. Riley hasn't stopped talking about your drawings since you entered the house," he commented, extending his hand for a greeting that Jasmine timidly returned. "I'm curious to see that talent." While Riley pulled Jasmine for a tour of the house, Stephen and Aisha exchanged significant looks. Minutes later, while the girls explored the upper floor, the couple conversed in low voices in the kitchen. "She seems to be in a difficult situation," commented Stephen, while opening a bottle of water. "They're in a shelter," Aisha confirmed, lowering her voice. "Her mother lost her job after getting sick. Remember the Johnson family we met through the foundation? Similar situation." Stephen nodded thoughtfully. "It's scary how quickly this happens in the Bay. A health problem, a lost job, and entire families become homeless, despite all the money circulating in this region." Upstairs, Riley proudly presented her personal space to Jasmine. A spacious room with walls in soft tones decorated with framed art and photographs. A special corner housed a small art station with an easel, professional quality materials, and a drawing table with specialized lighting. "You can use any material," offered Riley, noticing how Jasmine's eyes sparkled at the imported colored pencils and professional markers perfectly organized. Jasmine reverently touched a watercolor paper pad. "I've never seen so many materials outside of store windows." Girls were soon immersed in the world of drawing. While Riley created a colorful composition of her family, Jasmine worked with precision on a detailed portrait of Riley, capturing not just her physical appearance, but something deeper, the girl's spontaneity and vivacity. Between strokes and conversations, Jasmine gradually shared fragments of her story. How her mother, Tanya, had worked as a nursing assistant until a severe pneumonia kept her away from work long enough for them to lose the apartment where they lived. How they had sold almost all their belongings. How they moved from shelter to shelter while her mother sought stable employment. "The hardest part," confessed Jasmine while carefully shading her drawing, "is seeing my mom try to hide that she's crying at night. She thinks I'm asleep, but I know." The moment was interrupted by Aisha's call for dinner. At the elaborately set table, Jasmine observed the Curry family perform their ritual, a brief prayer of gratitude, followed by the tradition of each person sharing the best moment of their day. When her turn came, Jasmine looked at her plate full of home-cooked food, something she hadn't experienced in months, and at the welcoming faces around. "My best moment," she said with a choked voice, "is being here now, being able to draw without worrying, eating a complete meal, and feeling what it's like to have a real home again, even if just for a few hours." The moment was interrupted by the doorbell. Tanya Pearson had arrived to pick up her daughter after her temporary work shift. Two realities about to collide. 2 weeks transformed into a period of silent transformations. What had begun as a casual encounter in the park had evolved into a routine. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, Jasmine visited the Curry home after school. On Saturdays, Riley and Jasmine met at the municipal park to draw outdoors. Each meeting strengthened the bonds between the families, breaking down invisible walls. On a particularly significant Saturday, Riley asked her parents for something unusual. She wanted to visit Jasmine where she lived. After a frank conversation about expectations and respect, Aisha agreed to take her. The Hope Haven Community Center occupied an old hotel converted into temporary housing. In the small room shared by Jasmine and Tanya, Riley observed how her friend had transformed limitations into possibilities. A tiny corner was dedicated to art, donated papers, organized by color and texture, pencils of different lengths carefully sharpened, and drawings attached to the wall with recycled adhesive tape. "I get more pencils at the library," explained Jasmine. "The librarian keeps the ones people leave behind." Riley scanned the space with her eyes, absorbing every detail without comments that might sound condescending. Her gaze conveyed not pity, but deep admiration for her friend's resilience. "Your portfolio is amazing," she finally said, pointing to the drawings on the wall. "My art teacher said we have a school exhibition coming up. What if we did something together?" Meanwhile, far from the girl's eyes, another story was unfolding. Stephen was using contacts in the health sector to investigate Tanya's situation. He discovered she had been an exemplary professional at Oakland Medical Center, respected for her dedication to patients. Aisha, in turn, activated her network of business contacts, seeking opportunities for stable employment and affordable housing. It wasn't simple charity. It was recognition of a system that frequently punished people for circumstances beyond their control. Tension arose on a Sunday afternoon, when Tanya arrived to pick up Jasmine at the Curry house. Accidentally, she overheard Stephen on the phone mentioning her name and a possible position at the community clinic. "I don't need charity," Tanya confronted them in the kitchen, voice trembling. "I've been working hard to resolve our situation. I appreciate the friendship with Jasmine, but I don't want to be a charity project for celebrities." A heavy silence filled the environment until Aisha spoke. "When Stephen was recruited by the Warriors, we temporarily lived with relatives while we stabilized. Without that support network, we wouldn't be where we are. It's not charity, Tanya. It's extending the same network that once helped us. The difference is that now we have more resources to strengthen that network." The words hung in the air, sincere and devoid of condescension. Tanya's gaze softened slightly. Meanwhile, in Riley's room, the girls secretly worked on their project for the school exhibition. A series of illustrations titled Invisible Bridges, portraying scenes of friendship across different social realities, all in realistic style, but charged with emotion. The exhibition at Riley's prestigious school surprised everyone. The girls' works, combining Jasmine's refined technique with Riley's sense of color and composition, attracted not only the school community but also local media representatives, intrigued by the unlikely partnership between the basketball star's daughter and a talented young girl in a vulnerable situation. The idea wasn't to create something about differences, explained Riley to visitors, but to show how we are much more alike than different. Mid-exhibition, Tanya's cell phone vibrated. It was the director of the East Bay Community Clinic, a medical center supported by the Curry Foundation, offering an E-team interview for a permanent position that included participation in the transitional housing program for employees. Observing their daughters explaining their art to enchanted visitors, Tanya and Aisha exchanged looks of mutual recognition. Something greater than friendship was being built, a bridge between worlds that, despite existing in the same city, rarely met. 6 months transformed seeds into deep roots. The 2-bedroom apartment in the Horizon View complex wasn't luxurious, but it possessed the most precious element that Jasmine and Tanya had lost: stability. Freshly painted walls proudly displayed Jasmine's drawings, some framed, a gift from the Curry family when they moved in. Tanya now coordinated the assistant nursing team at the East Bay Community Clinic, her knowledge and dedication quickly recognized. Each morning, while donning her uniform, she felt the return not only of her financial independence, but of her professional identity. Jasmine, wearing the same uniform as Riley, attended Lakeside Preparatory School as part of the first class of the Emerging Talents program, a scholarship initiative created with support from the Curry Foundation. Her artistic talent, once confined to recycled papers and borrowed pencils, now flourished with professional guidance. But perhaps the most profound transformation was in Riley herself. The privileged girl who once saw the world through the protected lens of her reality now saw nuances, contradictions, and, mainly, possibilities. We need to understand that housing insecurity isn't about laziness or bad choices. Riley concluded her presentation before her mostly privileged classmates. In the slides, statistics from the San Francisco Bay Area showed working families just one salary away from vulnerability. These are people like us. The difference is that they don't have safety nets when something goes wrong. The seed planted by the friendship between the girls had blossomed into concrete initiatives. Stephen Curry, already known for his community work, reoriented a substantial part of his foundation toward housing insecurity prevention programs, attacking structural causes instead of just consequences. What I learned from my daughter, explained Stephen during an interview, is that sustainable solutions begin with genuine human connections, not just donations. The apex of this shared journey materialized in a renovated old warehouse in the heart of Oakland. Bridges, the Bobby E. Community Center for Visual Arts, opened its doors for the first time. The space, jointly idealized by Riley and Jasmine, offered free access to materials, artistic guidance, and exhibition space for young people from all socioeconomic realities. At the inauguration ceremony, both Tanya and Aisha spoke about how the friendship between their daughters had transformed their own perspectives. Our daughters taught us that barriers often exist only in adult eyes, reflected Aisha. Stephen, normally reserved at non-sporting events, made a point of directing the spotlight to the true protagonists. This space doesn't exist because we made donations. It exists because two 12-year-old girls refused to accept that people from different worlds couldn't build something together. After the ceremony, when the crowd dispersed and the new attendees began to explore the space, Riley and Jasmine sat side by side in the central drawing area. Around them, children from various Oakland neighborhoods discovered materials, techniques, and, most importantly, each other. "Do you think we changed the world?" asked Riley, observing the diversity that filled the hall. Jasmine smiled, her gaze scanning the space where privileged and vulnerable children found common ground through art. "Maybe not the entire world, but we certainly changed our world. And this is just the beginning."